First is I want to do good work. Second, I want to learn a lot at whatever I'm doing. Third is I want to work with good people who I respect and learn from, and we can do something good together. And the last part is to have fun. I think curiosity is such an amazing ability for humans to have, so I am always curious. And that means that in my academic world, many people become experts on one aspect of their field, their discipline. And I've never been able to do that. So I've had a lot of different research topics over the years. So if I can find projects or work to do that lets me have fun in many different ways, then that's much more worth doing for me than if it's the same kind of project over and over. I wrote him back and said, no, I don't write academic articles anymore. I don't write in that style anymore. It's too constrictive. No, thank you.
Welcome back to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where everyday people share the quotes that have shaped their lives, inviting us all to reflect and connect. Today, we're joined by Nancy Napier, a distinguished professor emerita from Boise State University and a passionate storyteller with a rich background in organizational creativity and a heart for cross-cultural connections. Nancy has spent decades inspiring others to embrace their curiosity. Now she's diving into the world of fiction writing, reminding us that it's never too late to begin anew. Let's settle in and explore the wisdom that has guided Nancy on her remarkable journey. Can you tell us your name and what your favorite quote is?
Yes. My name is Nancy Napier. I have been a professor for a long time, and now I'm becoming a fiction writer. So my favorite quote for me to decide what I'm going to work on has 4 parts. First is, I want to do good work. Second, I want to learn a lot at whatever I'm doing. Third is I want to work with good people who I respect and learn from, and we can do something good together. And the last part is to have fun. So that's helped me make a lot of decisions about what kinds of projects I work on, whether the project comes to me or it's something that I pursue and say, ooh, this looks like it could be interesting, but does it fit those 4, or at least 2 or 3 of those 4 things? And if so, then I'm more likely to pursue it.
Yeah. Okay, earlier on I did ask you the question, so I'm going to ask you again. And when you say do good work, what does that mean?
To me, doing good work means doing something that's beyond just benefiting me. So it's a lot more than making money. It's doing something that will improve another person, an organization, or even a country. I worked a long time in Vietnam to help it build its ability to do business with the Western world after the fall of the Soviet Union. I've been a teacher for 35 years, and so I can do work that's good for my students, for any executives or leaders I work with. I try to help them become better at what they do. And so doing good work then is to help benefit other people as an individual or even organizations. I've done a lot of research that looks at creativity in organizations, and it allowed me to work in very different types of places, from sports to education to health care to law enforcement, and help them see what they could learn from each other. So there's an element of trying to be a connector in all of this, to bring people together who can learn from one another, or for me to help people find resources that can help them improve or help their organizations improve. So that to me is doing work that's good for other people. And I try to do work that's good quality. So those 2 pieces of it.
Okay, so doing good work, it's in 2 parts. Doing quality work and then choosing the type of work you work on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The second part. Okay.
Yes. Second part.
The second part is learn a lot. Yeah.
Learn a lot.
Yeah.
So I have been a student my whole life, always. I loved school, and then I became a professor. And so to learn something is one of the greatest joys I have. I think curiosity is such an amazing ability for humans to have. So I am always curious. And that means that in my academic world, many people become experts on one aspect of their field, their discipline. And I've never been able to do that. So I've had a lot of different research topics over the years. I started them and I spent about 5 to 7 years on a topic, and then I moved to a different topic. So that I'm constantly learning. Instead of just one learning curve, it's always a new one coming out. after it. Now I'm trying to learn how to write fiction, I mentioned, and how to play tennis. I am not an athletic person at all, but I find that both of those put me in a position of being a beginner where I'm having to learn all kinds of new things, ways to think, ways to move, and I'm still teaching. And so when I teach very senior executives on some topic that may not be familiar to them, I can say, oh, yes, they are beginners in that. Think about how you can help somebody who's a beginner learn. So even in that, I'm learning how to be a better teacher, which I've done for many years. So it's always a question of what can I learn? And then again, give back to making somebody else's world better or life, whatever it might be. So learning is just huge for me, always has been. I hope always will be.
Yeah. You mentioned you're a professor. What are you a professor of?
I've been a professor of business for 35 years. And in that, I've taught things like what's called strategic management. How do companies decide or which direction they're going to go in? How do they prepare leaders? I have also done a lot of work in creativity of organizations, how they can do things differently to get better. So I do teach that. I teach in one of our graduate programs here, postgraduate for executives. It's a Master's of Business Administration for executives and has been really phenomenal, good program. And I think we're doing a good job with it. So it forces me to be in a room with 25 people who are at the very top of their organizations. And it can be business or medical field or nonprofits. And so I have to maintain a sharpness with them, which forces me to continue learning. And so it's mostly business at this point that I'm teaching.
Yeah. Okay. I just want, for those that will be curious to say, what does she teach? She says she's a professor. So let me ask that. Okay. The third part is have fun, right?
Have fun. Yes.
Yeah. What does that mean?
Well, I don't know what kind of, you should tell me what do you do that you're really good at?
What do I do that I'm really good at? That you should rephrase that question, not good at. What do I do that makes me happy?
You're really good at playing football, for example. Are you really good at teaching? So when you get to the point that you're pretty good at something, it can be a lot of fun. And it looks easy because you reach a certain level and then you can do it and play with it. So right now, as I'm trying to learn tennis, I'm thinking every time I pick up that racket, I've got 47 things I have to remember to do. And it's not really that much fun yet. I hope it becomes fun. But when I'm doing something where I'm learning and every now and then it works, I can see some progress.
Yeah.
That makes it fun. If I'm working with people I truly love, enjoy, respect, that makes it fun. If I'm working in a setting, a place that maybe I don't know well, and so it's a new culture, and I'm constantly observing and letting new things come in, that's fun to me. So if I can find projects or work to do that lets me have fun in many different ways, then that's much more worth doing for me than if it's the same kind of project over and over. I mentioned this project we did in Vietnam. Part of it was to deliver our Master of Business Administration degree 3 times. And when they asked us to do it the third time, I thought, I can do this without even thinking about it. I've done it before, and it wasn't fun. So then there were other pieces that I could pick up and do and help build this new venture. That made it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good thing you talked about that, because that was what the next question I was thinking of asking you. That certain areas of our life we've already mastered it in a way. And so it's kind of boring because there's nothing new, there's nothing exciting, there's nothing that's challenging us, right? And you're like, okay, just show up, and it's no longer as fun as it was when we started earlier on.
Yeah. No, I think anything can become boring if you look at it that way. I've always done it like this. It works. I'm not going to change it. But even in teaching the same courses year after year, I always bring in new information, new examples, new speakers. So that's the way I try to keep it from getting boring. You have to do the new stuff. It's new to me. Participants don't know if this is stuff that's been around forever. But for me to stay fresh, I want to bring in something new. What I'm finding is interesting. Last year, I think, I brought in a book for them I think it's close to 20 years old. They had no idea about the book. It's about how organizations fail. they get complacent and they fail. It was a very popular book 20 years ago. These people didn't know about it. And it was like a brand new surprise. And I thought, I also need to go back and make sure that some of these classics in the business world that they have exposure to, because some of those ideas are never ending. They're always important.
Yeah.
So whatever it seems new, it may be old to me, but it's new to them. And then I get to teach it to a group of people that don't know about it.
Yeah. And I think you didn't mention that every session you get to teach new sets of students. And you talked about every other thing new, but you didn't mention the students were new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These are they are in their late 40s, 50s year olds. So I call them participants because their students would be younger ones, but they are students, but we call them participants because they really are participating in making this program very strong. I also tell them, if there are 25 of them sitting in the room, that there is 400 years of experience. I don't bring all of the knowledge. They bring so much knowledge, and they're able to learn from each other. And that's another way to keep it very fresh. Every time we have a group, it's always different, the way they interact. And so we learn from each other in new ways.
Yeah. The last part is be with good people, right? So who are the good people and what does that entail?
The good people to me are ones that have high integrity, and I can absolutely trust what they want to do, how they want to go about it. So we start on a level of trust and respect, and then they are smart in terms of being able to come up with ideas for solving problems in a different way. So they're good people and high integrity, highly trusted, smart, and they're open. So they need to be willing to try something that's new and different. Again, when I was in this long project, 10-year long project, I worked with a woman who had lived in Asia for quite a while. She's from Canada originally. And there were times when terrible things would happen on that project. And we used to go into a room and shut the door and scream and yell and say, oh my gosh, I can't believe this happened. And then we would always say, okay, how do we solve this? How do we make this work? And I knew that we would reach that point. I knew we would find a way to solve it. We would complain for 2 minutes and then move on. So it's people who I know I can complain to if I need to, but also I know that person will shift out and we will find a solution. I guess the last piece of the good people that I've been lucky enough to work with is that they complement me. So I may have a strength in coming up with new ideas, being more creative, and someone else will have a strength in saying, I think we could take that and use it over here. That person will not say, that idea is stupid, we should never do it. He or she might think at the start, the idea may not be perfect, but can we take it and work with it and make it into something? Maybe not, but let's at least look at the idea. So I think that openness, being smart, being somebody that we trust each other. You know, there's a book called The Speed of Trust. So that once we know each other, we can almost use a shorthand language and do things because I know you, I trust you. And so we can just get things done more quickly than having to think about, is that person going to do what he said he would, or will she follow through like she promised, that sort of thing. So those are my good people.
Yeah. The question I wanted to ask that now is, for the quotes you shared so far, is it yours?
That one is, yeah, for sure. Okay, those 4 points are mine, yeah.
Okay. How far back did you come to this conclusion?
It was during that project that I keep mentioning, which was in the 90s. So it's been 20, 30 years
30
almost
years.
now.
Wow.
Yeah, a long time.
35 years. Wow.
And I used it for a while on initial projects, but now I just use it in general when I'm thinking about, do I want to go to that particular concert, or do I want to get together with that person? I'll say, well, can we do something interesting together? Will I learn something? Is there a benefit to both of us? And so I still use it in small ways, but also big ways. So yeah, it's just been something I've used forever.
Okay. This is the juicy part now. You've explained the quotes and you've told us how you came to the conclusion of the quotes, which is nice. Now, I think we are moving to the story aspect. So what I want you to do for me is, give us 3 to 5 instances, stories in your life where you had to run the decisions through these quotes or this mantra before you made decisions. 3 to 5.
Okay.
Well, and as I said, I started with the quote during this project in Vietnam, and it came to me when the project had 3 phases. And so we worked with a Vietnamese university and my university. And when the 3rd phase came, the university in Vietnam said, Nancy, your university's not known like Harvard. We would really like to have a very big name university run this. And I had to say to myself, whoa, I mean, this is an important project. I know the people are good. I'm not going to learn anything because I would do the same task again. And I'm not sure I'd have any fun. And so I said to them, yes, I will go and find you a very big name university. And I approached 6 or 7, 5 in the US, 1 in Australia, 1 in the UK. And all the ones in the US said, no, it's not, doesn't make any money for us, so we won't do it. And then one of the other universities said, yes, we will consider it. We negotiated. So I had decided that out of those 4 points, good people and it was an important project. I was not going to learn anything, and I didn't think I'd have any fun, but I was willing to do it. So there were 2 out of the 4 criteria there in that one. In the end, the Vietnamese university said, actually, your university knows us better. We would like you to run the whole project. So I did. It was like 4 times larger project. I did learn a lot. It was fantastic. But it was the first time after I came up with those 4 points that I really had to decide, do I go forward or not? And it was because it was only 2 out of the 4 points that they were 2 good, important points. So good work and good people, not learning a lot, not having fun. And that also, I think, without thinking about it clearly, at the time, I think that helped me realize that the important criteria for me are good work and good people. And so the other 2, if I'm not learning as much or if I'm not having as much fun, I can deal with. So that was the first time that I used
number
it.
1.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2.
And I don't know if I can come up with 5. I've had I've had people approach me about doing research projects together. And so I've said, all right, can I learn something? No, not really. They just want me because I can help them write their article. Is it a good person? It's somebody who wants something from me. Yeah. Is it good work? Yeah, it's good work. And so in that kind of case, I would say no. I just had one come up recently, a very colleague that I've known forever in Denmark. So I've been, quote, officially retired from my university, meaning I don't have to write research articles anymore. I still teach. But this person wrote me and he said, here's a project idea I'd like you to, would you consider writing about it? And I wrote him back and said, no, I don't write academic articles anymore. I don't write in that style anymore. It's too constrictive. No, thank you. Even though this man is one of the best people I know ever. And I said, I'm trying to learn how to do storytelling and fiction writing. And he wrote back and he said, well, isn't doing this particular project storytelling? And he was absolutely right. And then I thought, yeah, good work. I can learn something. He's a great person and I'll have some fun. And so I decided in that case, I changed my mind from saying no to saying yes because of thinking through those 4 points.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Can we make it 3?
Oh, you're good. Gee.
Okay.
I wonder, I'm thinking about in retrospect. Well, no, I think I did some talks many years ago about research and how my research career developed. And it was very useful. And this came through in that. I discovered that I am better at identifying areas, problems that people don't study, don't do research in very much. For example, creativity in organizations, not just people, but organizations. So I'm really good at that beginning part of the curve, starting it up, identifying questions. Once it becomes a popular topic, I can't compete. I've learned that other people are much better at quantitative data analysis and getting really more into the details. I'm much better at sort of general breaking the forest, going through the forest at the beginning to see what the questions are. And when I thought about it later, so that is back to, that's good work to do something, to identify something that other people don't do. I have great fun with it because nobody tells me how to do it because nobody's done it. I tend to have found good people who can become sounding boards. I have a number of leaders in my community I've worked with for a long time. I can go to them and say, here's this idea I have. And one of the best ones will say, well, let's take the idea and break it down. And just like we dissect it, And so I can have fun. I can learn from them. So good people, good topic, learn a lot. And what's the last one? Good work. So I do that and have done that on identifying topics to study. So that was one, organizational creativity. Another one would follow on with that was more on culture in community organizations. And so again, if it's got those elements to it, even when I do something, then I look back, I say, well, that came into play, even though I didn't explicitly use those 4 criteria to think about it up front. So sometimes it's sort of I back into it by accident.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing those 3 stories. I know it was kind of on the moment thing, but I'm happy
Well,
and I'm glad you were
give
able
you
to
one
pull out.
more. I'll give you one more.
Okay. The juices are
You
flowing.
contacted me about doing the podcast.
Yeah.
How do people decide if they're going to do podcasts? I
Okay.
read about it. I read the comments from other people who had been on your show. I listened to why you're doing this. I thought, good work, good person. I can have fun and I can learn something. Although you haven't let me, well, I've learned something about myself just from what your good questions. But yeah, I'd like to learn about you too. So yes, it works in a lot of ways.
Yeah, the sweet thing is that you are the star of the show. I'm just here to make sure you shine.
You're a very good question asker.
Yeah, you're the star of the show. Like, I'm curious, and this is kind of like off topic. Since when did you start these parts you doing towards fiction?
I tried probably 10 years ago, took an online course, and halfway through I said, I can't do this. I'm not a good liar. And one of the other students said, it's not lying, it's using your imagination. And I thought, so during the pandemic, I thought I'll try it again, took another course and wrote 4 really bad novels that nobody will ever look at. And one of them, though, I took and was able to kind of reshape, published it. And working on another one now, 2 more. What I'm finding is that it is really hard. I thought being a nonfiction writer, academic writer, and I also write for leaders, so it can't be academic, but it's nonfiction. And this is much, much harder. I just this morning, from early in the morning, 6 till 8 o'clock this morning, was in a class that the woman is in England and the students are all over the world. And the topic was poetry. Well, I'm not a poet. But I was just reading before you and I talked some of the ways that she talks about poetry and using that in fiction writing. So I'm discovering that I'm trying to do good work. I'm learning a heck of a lot. I get to work with some phenomenal people in writing and I'm having fun. So it's been, I'd say 2 or 3 years that I've really gotten more serious about it. And every time I sit down, I think there's no way I can do it. And I keep plugging along. So I'm hoping that I'll get better little by little. But yeah, it's a new world for me, at least.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you so
Well, I appreciate your time. It was really fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing your story. Where can listeners learn more about you, what you do, and just, follow you and see what you're into?
Sure. Well, website is nancyknapier.com and it lists everything else. So LinkedIn and Facebook and everything else that I'm on. So Instagram. Yeah.
It's such a huge flex to have your full name, the name and surname as a domain name, especially .com. Wow. You say just check nancynapier.com and you see my stuff there. So easy and straightforward. Yeah, thank you so much once again for coming on the podcast.
All right.
I'll let you know when the episode goes live. Thanks for listening to Relatable Wisdom. If you found something meaningful from this episode, make sure to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening. If you'd like to support the show, you can do that by buying me a coffee. The link is in the show notes. Every little bit keeps the conversations going. I'm your host, Wisdom Contour, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep growing.